What is going on, everybody? It's Alex back with another video, and today we finally have another leak for GTA 6. And today we actually have a lot of information, so I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty long video, but there is a lot to cover. So without further ado, let's hop right into the leak. So first things first, it is important to get out of the way that this leak is coming from a random user on Reddit, so, take everything with a grain of salt. For all that we know, all of this could be absolutely true, and we are getting solid information, but it's probably more likely that it's fake. So again, take everything with a grain of salt, but there's a lot of cool things that he talks about. So starting off, this was posted in the GTA 6 subreddit by Temperature Rising 45. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link down in the description to this entire subreddit so you can see everything that I'm talking about. You can see all the conversations that are happening, but basically he starts off, I'm gonna read out his entire post. He starts off by saying, "I don't expect you to believe me, which defeats any real desire to prove myself. With that said, take it as you may. Expect an announcement around fall 2020. So it's important that he's saying expect an announcement around fall 2020. Obviously, that's not saying there's going to be a release date. We'll get into some of the release date stuff a little bit later. There's a lot of questions that people ask that he goes into. Probably the majority of the video is going to be him answering the questions that people are asking, but he's saying expect an announcement around fall 2020. That is very interesting. And honestly, quite possible. If you guys have been staying up to date with all my GTA 6, release date videos, I kind of expected it would be announced at some time this year and then released in 2021. However, recently, I feel like it's probably been pushed back a year or two. So an announcement of fall 2020 and then a release date of 2022, something like that, seems plausible. So he goes on to say, game will feature San Fierro and Las Venturas. Map is about 4 times the size of GTA 5. Expect the return of landmarks like Area 51, Hoover Dam, etc. A few new ones I've seen are a flea market, an amusement park, and a zoo. So we've gotten a lot of rumors about where GTA 6 would actually take place. We got a lot of rumors about Vice City, a lot of rumors that it would be, like Miami and then some South America, but he's talking about San Fierro and Las Venturas. Very interesting. Claiming that the map is 4 times the size of GTA 5, I find that, fairly reasonable. Obviously, I think the map is going to be bigger, but we're also expecting a lot more density with the things that you can go in and interact with, the interiors and things of that sort. So if they're able to do that with 4 times the size, that's pretty cool. Landmarks such as Area 51, Hoover Dam seems legit, nothing really to go off of there. And then new ones like flea market, amusement park, and zoo. Honestly, not a whole lot to go off of there, but if all that's true, it would be pretty cool. He goes on to say there are going to be 2 protagonists, one is a male and one is a female. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that we would be getting a female protagonist in GTA 6, and he's claiming that that is true. Apparently, there's going to be a heavier emphasis on interiors, nowhere near every building, but there's a mall, police stations, fast food restaurants, gas stations, and things like that. Again, that's what I was just talking about a minute ago. I think there really need, more so than a larger map, there needs to be a bigger emphasis on interiors, and he's obviously saying that there is. He says there will be 2 different types of gun stores. Ammunition sells normal guns like pistols and sniper rifles, while underground stores sell crazier things like rocket launchers and satchel charges. Now, this doesn't really have that much of a gameplay impact, but it would be fairly interesting, and if we start seeing leaks around something like that, it would bring a lot of legitimacy to this. So random events are way more interesting and bountiful. I've seen people having a funeral at a graveyard, chasing a dog that got loose, a family camping with an RV. Now this sounds very interesting. All just the random things that would be going on in real life that you actually get to see in these games. The random events I feel like could make this game so much more immersive. He says heists return and are largely similar, but they're more like optional side missions. Now this is fairly interesting because it seems like he's claiming that it's not really part of like the main campaign or anything. It's more of something that you can just do on the side if you want, which I find very strange considering I feel like most people love heists. I feel like with all the positive feedback, they would make more of a priority, but maybe that just means that there's going to be a lot more heists and simple things that you can do like that on the side. He says businesses and real estate are back at a larger degree, complete with their own mission lines. There's a casino, trailer park, nightclub, etc. This kind of makes sense, exactly what you would expect. Everything just kind of done to a bigger degree than we've seen in the past, but relatively the same thing. He says there's mini games like carnival games, hunting, bowling, gambling, and boat boat rafting down rapids. And then finally he says, that's all I can remember off the top of my head, but feel free to ask more, call me a liar, etc. So he's made a lot of claims on what the game is going to look like, you know, the location, the protagonist, everything like that. But as I mentioned before, there's a lot more detail when he's actually answering questions down in the comments. So let's go ahead and kind of work on that and see what he has to say about people's questions. So someone asks, are there a ton of animals like Red Dead 2? He says, there's probably not quite as many as RDR2, but there's definitely way more than GTA 5 had. He's seen rattlesnakes, deer, cougars, bears, and things like that, but where it really stands out is the zoo that's in San Fierro. It's fully functioning with zebras, a tiger, monkeys, elephants, etc. There's also a mission where you set everything free, so that's pretty wild. That's something that I was honestly kind of disappointed with GTA 5. I remember in some of like the cinematic trailers and stuff before the game came out, they showed the deer and all these animals and stuff, but when you actually play GTA 5, it's very rare to see an animal. I would really like to just look up in the sky and see birds. I would like to go to different parts and actually see these wild animals. I feel like that would be really cool. So the next question, so there is no Vice City in GTA 6. If you guys aren't aware, there was a big rumor going around that Vice City would at least be in GTA 6 based on some pretty substantial rumors. But his response is not at all. The Vice City / South America leak from a while back was completely made up. So he's not just saying Vice City, he's saying that entire leak is made up, meaning the whole Project Americas and everything that goes along with it is not true. So someone goes on to ask about all the screenshots that got leaked a week or two ago, and his response is, take it from me working over here, there ain't no way you're getting an actual screenshot out of here. So anything you've seen floating around the internet is absolutely fake. Now, it's already been proven that most of those screenshots were fake, but I think it's pretty safe to say that anything you see out there is definitely fake, even if this guy is not legit. I would imagine everything right now that you're seeing, you know, screenshots and things of that sort, is probably fake. So he gets a question regarding airports, and his response is there's 2 main airports, one for each city. I believe there's one at Area 51, and there's a few random ones spread out around the rural areas. Oh, and you can buy tickets to travel between the 2 cities. As much as I'd love to snag a picture of the map, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. Multiple airports is definitely a must. It's always really cool to play around in the airports in GTA 5 and everything, but having 2 legitimate airports and then some of the smaller ones will be really, really cool. Someone asks about Liberty City, and we get a lot of information on the protagonist. He said the protagonists are both siblings from Liberty City who grew up in a mob family and are forced out of Liberty City. Then he goes on to clarify that Liberty City is featured in the prologue, but it's only the island of Alderney. So it looks like we're not really going to get a whole lot of Liberty City in the game, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I think I can deal with that. So when asked probably the most important question about the release date, he says, as far as the release, you never know with delays, but they're shooting for 2021. So it is important to note that he is claiming that the game is going to be announced in 2020 and that they're shooting for a 2021 release date, which is fairly accurate based on what they've done before. Yes, it is important to note that usually the Rockstar games come out about 2 years after they're announced. However, they also get delayed by roughly a year. So if he's saying that they're going to announce it in 2020 and that they're shooting for a 2021 release date, knowing Rockstar, that probably means that it's going to be a 2022 release date, which actually does kind of line up. So something that I'm very interested in is the cars, and someone asks, how about the cars? Is there a big variety of cars, and how realistic is the damage on them? He goes on to say the damage is very realistic, like GTA 4. And then he says, definitely the largest variety of vehicles I've seen yet, many from GTA Online. A full overhaul of cars would make me very happy. A lot more realistic damage, everything like that would be awesome. And then I think it's pretty safe to say that the variety of cars will be bigger than anything we've ever seen. I mean, GTA 5, GTA Online has an ever-expanding list. I would imagine at least the majority of those will come over to GTA 6 as a starting point and then continue to grow from there. So if you guys haven't stayed up to date with all the leaks, there's been a lot of rumors about it being, you know, taking place in like the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. A lot regarding Vice City, to be fair. But basically, one of the biggest questions that's been coming around is, when is this game going to take place? And he confirms that the setting is modern times. This is definitely something that I am a huge fan of. I personally have never been a fan of historical games or anything like that, and especially when it comes to GTA having such an emphasis on vehicles, having it take place in modern times just means that you have so much more variety. You can still include all of those old vehicles and everything like that, but you can also have the modern vehicles along with vehicles that are actually coming out in real time. I mean, you gotta think, GTA 6 probably has a life cycle of like 8 years or so. There's a lot of new cars that are going to be coming out 8 years after the game, and if it takes place in like past times, you're not going to be able to have those in the game. So someone asked about weapon mechanics and basically trying to compare it to RDR2, and his answer is, it isn't quite as grounded and ultra realistic as Red Dead Redemption 2 with holsters and things like that, but it's definitely way more limited than GTA 5. You aren't going to be walking around with 45 guns, but you won't be limited to 4 either. It's basically like GTA 4 except with a weapon wheel. One weapon for each set, but you can store extras in your personal vehicle. Now, this is very interesting because in GTA 5, you can literally have all of your weapons and just be running and gunning with crazy amounts of ammo and everything like that, but apparently it's not going to be quite that over dramatic in GTA 6. I think this is going to be very controversial. I think some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, but personally, I only ever use a few weapons anyways, so I think it'll be really interesting to only be able to have a few weapons at a time. And then if you really want to keep some crazy stuff, you can keep it in the back of your personal car. So I feel like I covered all the important things that he talked about, but once again, make sure to check out the description so you guys can see the full Reddit for yourself. You can see everything, look at everything, all the conversations. Make sure to check that out if you guys are interested in this. But my question for you guys is, do you think this is legit? Obviously, it's impossible to tell, but I have to say he's saying a lot of information and throwing it all out there. I really see nothing that makes it seem like he's 100% legit. I feel like this could very easily be someone that's just, you know, talking out of their ass. There's nothing that he's really throwing out there that gives him a tremendous amount of credibility. Now, this vision of the game is actually very interesting to me, and I would love for this to be legit because this honestly sounds so cool to me, but once again, I think you really just need to take this and any other leak with a grain of salt. But make sure to let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments. But that does it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for the support. Peace out.
Didn't come to my birthday party, rude, but they all found time to go fight the warrior. Like, this would be like some